Hello everyone, SirMonkeySuit here, back again with My Hero Academia. We are on episode 5 of season 5, and in the last episode, Class 1A beat Class 1B in the first match, the first round, with Shinso being on 1A. And Shinso played a huge role in the win, which means that like the following matches, where Shinso is not going to be involved, is actually going to be really interesting. I mean, I know when Shinso eventually has his match with 1B, that's also going to be interesting, but I feel like because Class 1B in the first round, for a good chunk of that round, were actually looking pretty good. They were outsmarting 1A, and it came down to like a sort of a mixture of experience from 1A and this kind of second-hand effect that Shinso's quirk was able to put out there, which, you know, it basically forced a lot of communication between 1B. They weren't talking to each other because they know that, you know, that Shinso can obviously talk like any of them. You know what I mean? So it's going to be interesting going forward. And like, I mean, I did state that I feel like overall with the 5 matches, because I think there's 5 matches, right, that 1A will get the overall amount of wins, but 1B will not go, you know, defeated entirely. They will get some wins, so it's going to be a case of which matches they do win and who they're going up against. So I can't remember what match 2, like who was actually a part of that group, so we will find out about that. Also, I was talking about that Gévaudan, so Apocalypse guy, or Apocalypse Beast, in the last episode, basically saying, like, I don't know what Gévaudan actually means, but I think that's kind of like his nickname or something like that he prefers to go by, other than it seems like he doesn't like Apocalypse Beast at all, but that's what his teammates call him and everything like that. So yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting this next match. I don't think we have anything else we really need to talk about other than, yeah, 1A did actually win the first round. So I don't know. I'll not say who I think's going to win right now, because like I said, I don't know who's actually in match 2. But you know, we can only find out by watching the episode. So we are going to get an episode 5 right now. So as always, the reaction will be here on YouTube, but if for whatever reason it gets taken down for copyright in the future, I will re-upload this as a discussion only video, and the link to the reaction will be in the description below. And as always, the link to the full length reaction is in the description below as always. So if you do want to watch my full length reaction and not just the cut 10-minute version, then the offer is there for you. But yes, nothing else to really talk about, so we're going to get an episode 5 season 5, see what we get. So without further ado, let's go. Without knowing the teams, I feel like story-wise, it's probably going to be Class 1B that wins this next one, but...
Explain what you learned or would do differently.
If that had been real, Shiozaki would have just murdered me before I ever hit the ground.
I like that they're going through with this.
I need to be able to give more detailed instructions to the bugs I call.
I wish we could have won without losing anybody, but we were sloppy out there.
I couldn't even use a tenth of what I'd learned from you. It's so frustrating. The scarf is hard to use. It took me 6 years to master. Move on, but don't forget this.
Come on, stop fucking bouncing, man.
Kirishima, you should focus on forcing your opponent into a head-on fight.
Yes, sir.
Kaminari, you weren't serious at the start. Are you only strong if your team's in trouble?
No.
Awesome.
Yeah, he's not proactive, is he?
Recover from a mistake instead of the mistake itself.
Yes, sir.
Inexperience.
Even though he won, he's still painfully aware of his inexperience.
Shishida was your focal point. Or wait, was Shiozaki your ace? If you'd only come together as a team, you could have taken them all!
It's not in Shiozaki's nature to deceive. Forgot to consider that fact, Beastman, didn't you?
You're correct.
I'm looking forward to having him on my side. Shinso, buddy, let's come up with a plan to make Class A cry like toddlers!
Something
that'll
right.
really ruin their lives!
Let's brainstorm some ideas about how we can best approach our match.
Smart, Deku.
Bakugo, let's get on the same page.
The page
right.
is, stay out of my way!
Of course.
We'll
I love that team.
Shinso in the 5th match.
Todoroki and Ida are always together.
I'll blow him straight to hell! I don't need you!
It's a leader for our trump card if we're in a bind.
There's something I wanted to tell you about my recipro.
Instant kill floating bomb!
Okay, what, something new?
So, All Might, what did you think of Shinso?
He's great. And he has guts. It's telling that the first emotion he felt after the match was frustration.
Second round teams to the field!
Alright, okay. Here we go.
I suppose he must have decided that a pageant wasn't necessary for my hero progress.
After we were in that commercial during our intern days, I think some people have started to put us in the same category.
Oh my god.
Idolatry. A troubling ritual.
Look, if I'm being honest, your
Well, that
grades
guy's
and
quirk
quirk
is.
are
I
both
don't think
better
we've
than
seen that
mine,
one.
Yaoyorozu. It's easy to see. I want to be my own hero.
She's
Which
looking
is
to
why I'm
stand
dying
out.
to try my hand against you today.
That one's a shroom lady in the back, so I'm
If you think about it, we're basically the same type too.
If you say
dark.
so. Your quirk lets you merge with darkness and move freely within it.
You and I
What?
share destiny. We are brothers in the shadows.
You have also stared into the abyss.
God. Oh my days.
Those two aren't twinkling at all.
Those two are on match made in heaven. Can he somehow do that with Dark Shadow somehow and control him from within? That would be insane.
Start the second match!
We'll start reconnaissance immediately. If you please.
Roger. Now, Dark Shadow. Got it! Report back when you find the enemy.
Alright, they're using Dark Shadow for recon. I didn't know he could extend it this far.
Pretty much know what our quirks are by now, but that's why first they'll try for some recon.
I bet you that shroom girl has some sort of like sleep powder thing. Fuck, okay, that was cool.
Into the abyss.
Can he go in? He can. Oh, he can. He can. He's gonna attack. Fuck.
What's wrong with Dark Shadow?
Is
What
there
if-
another power like Shinso's?
What if he goes into like into the dark and like lets it go out of control? What would happen to the guy in there?
Warp refraction! Stay cheese!
Nah, yeah, nice. Use it on Dark Shadow. Right, okay, that was enough to get him out.
Class B's Shihai Kurohiro. Quirk, Dark. He can melt into shadows immediately. And by developing his quirk, he's become able to move through the darkness. But it has to be something stationary in order for him to zip around.
Fumikage Tokuyami. I swear I will vanquish you.
Fated rivals.
Of course.
Very well. I'll use your challenge to reveal something. A move I discovered working with Hawks.
Oh, interesting.
I could easily get 300 mil for...
I like how we're gonna see this.
Thanks. I'll take these.
How easy that was.
You head back. Deal with all the paperwork, yeah?
Is that it?
Yomi! Let's take this guy in. It's our job as sidekicks.
Only because Hawks is too fast.
Why didn't you take a ride on Dark Shadow? Why is he running everywhere?
That kid's an eager one.
Apparently, I was the first student Hawks ever made an offer to after the sports festival.
Can't let things get worse while I wait for you guys just so you get practice. We're birds of a feather.
Is that a joke?
Nope, I'm 20% serious. Half of the reason was because I wanted to talk to someone from Class 1A. I'm interested in those thugs from the League of Villains who attacked you. So, from the top finishers at the UA Sports Festival, I chose the fellow faux avian who seemed like he'd be worthwhile.
As I told him about the details of our encounter, my frustration started to simmer. My week-long internship ended without me learning a thing. Then for my work study, the pro who moves too fast took me under his wing again. Since the internship, my class at UA had experienced many trials. Don't look down on me, number 3. No, now the number 2 hero.
Hey!
Wonder why he wasn't doing this before.
We'll see you tomorrow.
You know? Because we knew that he could fly before, because he did it in the
now?
sports festival once.
Hawks!
Or maybe he can't actually like gain much altitude, but he can.
It's like we're one with the wind.
But maybe he can glide.
20% for your quirk, birds of a feather and all that. And 50% was for info on the league. But that last 30, well, to be frank, it's because I thought you were wasting your true potential. Nothing beats a bird's eye view. It's good to put effort into beefing up your short-range combat weaknesses, but you shouldn't forget about what you're good at. Use your quirk to move more freely. I couldn't pass this up. Those of us who can fly should fly.
Should, yeah.
There's no need to be stuck on the ground with everyone else.
Cool.
Fallen angel?
I don't know how he's going to use this much though around
dramatic.
against this guy's quirk, you know, because I mean, look at where they are fighting.
In an area like this, I'd say he definitely has the upper hand.
Yeah.
His eyes are fixed on me.
Class A is completely in the dark. I set an emotional trap before the match even started. You probably think the one I'm after is my supposed rival. I'm the scheming hero, Vanta Dark.
Scheming.
And misdirection is the key to my design.
Oh no!
Oh
God!
I've got speed on my side, and poor Dark Shadow's tethered to his host on the ground. There's no way.
Except who can fly?
I was slow.
Dark Shadow! Dark Fallen Angel!
Oh my God.
Wait, he can fly? Tokoyami, go!
Cool.
And by covering himself with a cape, Tokoyami can block the light that weakens his quirk in order to achieve a continuously high output. Plus, with that hold, Tokoyami's hands remain free to do whatever he needs. It's
Oh wow! The cape actually comes in handy there.
But he figured it out, and look how perfect it's working. Whoa! I'm impressed.
Hawks, I thank you.
That's great, man. I love that the cape works.
An unexpected rendezvous.
Plan A was a failure.
I shall give light to these shadows. Naval buffet!
Wow, dude! Nice! I like the use of that. We haven't seen the other people
Launching a
yet.
surprise attack alone. Bold move. Stand down.
You don't know when you're beat.
Yeah, here we go.
Mushrooms? What the heck?
Kendo is better than you.
How's that dude just sitting down there?
Our brilliant class rep Set's room. If we see too much light, then Plan A fails. Cute little mushrooms for everybody.
Oh my God. Ah! Okay, episode 5. Right, well, this like automatically just kind of hit me that like we are in for like a treat with all of these matches, because it feels like every match it's going to be just new move and surprise and shock and like what news coming next, because they already set the you know, with Ida, he's already got something with his Recipro, right? Now we've seen Ida use, you know, like we've seen him burst, we've seen him like, you know, kind of go beyond that, like oh, what does he call it, man? We've seen him, yeah, we've seen him just Recipro burst boost, I think, and then there's one that like what is it, overdrive or something like that. But seemingly with Ida talking, seems like he's got something more planned, and I can't wait for that. And I feel like it's just going to be the same with a lot of the other classmates. And that's just for 1A. Never mind class 1B, which we don't know like 90% of the of the class. So that's going to be great. That's going to be great to watch. I mean, as of right now in this episode, the only one that we've actually seen from 1B was the scheming hero dude. So Shihai, I think that's his name, and he can merge with darkness. I called that one, by the way. Not that I think that it's anything special to call that one out, but I just figured that because Dark Shadow is called Dark Shadow, would he be classed as, you know, that kind of... I mean, it's weird because yes, you would class him as a shadow, but it's not like you wouldn't class it as the same kind of shadow, I feel like, as an actual shadow is, you know. So I was wondering if there was that possibility that he could actually merge with him, and that was pretty much the first thing that he did, and controlled him from within. So yeah, really cool. That set up a rivalry between the two immediately from, you know, I mean, class 1A and class 1B have that rivalry anyway, but now it's getting into the like sort of independent rivalries, I suppose. And yeah, that one's like just a match made in heaven. I mean, two shadow dudes, of course it would be, you know. So yeah, so his was the only one that we actually saw, and I love the fact that the whole thing with him being, well, because he can merge with darkness and shadows and everything like that. His special move was not to. It wasn't like something that was physical. It was something that was more mental. So he actually got before the match actually started, that he set up this rivalry, which will inevitably just become a rivalry anyway. But Shihai kind of using that to his advantage by thinking that he's going to be going after Tokoyami and using it to actually go for Ayama instead, which is, you know, of course, really smart. And sending him in as a sort of like, I guess, a scout, but it was like almost like a reactive scout by knowing about, you know, Dark Shadow's power and everything like that. But then that's the thing, is like, I wonder if through his head he was thinking, is it possible for me to get within Dark Shadow, you know? Because what is it? Is it an absence of light regardless? You know what I mean? I don't know. Like, for example, if you had a black wall, you know, but it was perfectly lit, would he be able to go in, you know, and merge with it? Because it's the absence of light, right? And that's, I think, the thing that I'm talking about with, like, Dark Shadow being a different kind of shadow as opposed to be. Because, I mean, Dark Shadow, because he is that sort of absence of light, he still exists, like, in a fully lit room or out in direct sunlight. But Shihai can still enter him, though. You know, so there's that whole thing of, like, if it's just a black surface, would he be able to merge with that or not? Is that, like, the little details of what he can actually do? And it's not a case of, well, it has to be a dark surface, like, you know, it doesn't have to be a dark surface, but if it was a dark surface, it would still have to be in shade in order for him to get in there. I don't know, but you have to think that going through his mind, like, was he thinking that it was possible to get inside Dark Shadow or not? You know, because, I mean, that would have been the first time he's ever tried it, so, you know. But it paid off. So yeah, he was kind of like a reactive scout, thinking that, you know, they'd already thought this out all beforehand, which, again, it's obviously playing up that fact that Class 1B are a bit more tactful in their whole thing. You know what I mean? They haven't been involved and gotten the experience, but what they do have is that sort of you know, the strategy beforehand. You know what I mean? Not really thinking on the fly as much, but getting things set up beforehand about, you know, things planned ahead of time. And thinking, you know, I mean, they're praising Kendo a lot. Like, she's obviously the one that has come up with the plan. And in terms of the other three, she's figured out that Dark Shadow would be the one, or, you know, Tokoyami would end up being the one that would be reconning, because, yeah, I mean, it's a good point. I suppose in some way you probably could think that Hagakure could have been a scout, you know what I mean, if she went full naked. But then I wonder if this mushroom girl had played, like, the reason why they were all staying back, this mushroom girl in particular, is possibly because if there were, I don't know how her power works. I mean, obviously we haven't gotten that yet. I'm sure we'll get that probably next episode. But the idea that, like, the shrooms are able to grow incredibly quick, and they grew immediately on Hagakure and Yaoyorozu when they charged forward. So I feel like it must be like a place of effect that once something drops into that, it kind of activates, and then, you know, that obviously removes. I mean, Hagakure is pretty much, you know what I mean, like, she's completely out in the open now. With these shrooms growing off her, she's not going to, I doubt she's going to be able to take them off, and even if she could be able to do that, I feel like they would just grow back anyway. So it kind of takes her out of the equation, and it's going to be interesting to see, like, you know, if we're getting these matches where Class 1B are actually managing to capture or, like, take some 1A classmates, like, out of the game. That Hagakure, I feel like the way that it's going right now, I feel like she will probably be one. You know, it's going to be quite unfavourable. I feel like it's a bit Yeah, it kind of sucks for some character. For example, Coda last match. Like, I feel like he just hasn't. He's never really gotten a chance to shine. I mean, the only time he really got a chance to shine was with when he was partnered up with Jiro in season 2, like at the end there, when they were going up against the teachers, right? Like he had a chance to kind of like shine a tiny bit there, but like he did nothing in the last match, and Kirishima didn't either. But you know, at least Kirishima has gotten like quite a lot of moments now. You know, he's had that, he's had those moments. So, what I will say though is, like, you know, you saw there towards the beginning of the episode that like Kirishima seemingly the most disappointed with himself. I know that obviously they were talking about like frustration stuff with Shinso, but I feel like it's just as true with Kirishima. Like, he just was not happy with his performance there, you know. So yeah, and so I feel like Koda got like a bit of the rough end of the stick, because he, you know what I mean, he doesn't have a lot of he doesn't have a lot of chances to shine, I feel. And it was exactly the same with the last match. So in this match, I feel like, you know, because I can't say there being a match entirely that is going to be like a domination. You know what I mean? Like when none of one team is uncaptured. I feel like if that was going to be the case, then I feel like there could be, like, you know, well, I guess if any match, it would probably be this one, where I would say that if there was going to be any match at all, any matchup where it was pure domination on one side, that maybe this would be it. But then, you know what I mean? It's like, will they do that? I don't know. The problem is that we just don't know the abilities and how they work for Class 1B in this match yet. So, so yeah, I mean, just like the Mushroom Girl, the manga dude, he's just sitting back as well. It's going to be interesting to see what his like quirk actually does, like what ability that would be. Because I don't know. I'm trying to think, like, it's one of those quirks, isn't it, where it's out there. It's like a bit mental. It's a bit like, you know what I mean? It's not like a more traditional thing where you can kind of just, you know, some of them you can just have it like as a guess. Like, for example, with Mushroom Girl, like I said during the reaction, I don't know if it'll be in the 10-minute cut, but I was expecting that to be like some kind of sleep, like powder or paralysis thing that comes with it. You know what I mean? That would just make sense to me because of, you know, mushrooms and spores and everything like that. It would just make sense. You know, but I got that idea, of course, from, you know, Pokemon and everything like that. But there has to be something other than the fact of she can just grow them. You know what I mean? I feel like there has to be more to it than that. But even if she can't do anything but grow them at this point, I'm sure that, like, that's something to improve her quirk later down the line, is release spores that do certain things. You know, but yeah, for the manga guy, like, how, I don't know, where do you start? Like, maybe you can entrap them on a 2D like sort of page. Yeah, like, well, of course, I mean, a page is pretty much fucking 2D, isn't it? Jesus Christ. I mean, I guess if you get down to the, you know, the particles, it's not totally flat, but you get what I mean. Like, maybe there is something like that, but that's the only thing I can really guess. So his is obviously going to be an interesting one, but a lot of this, like, it seems as though, because almost the emphasis of the 1A versus 1B, where it being experience versus a lot more tactful, it feels like a lot of the matches seem that they could be going the same way. Class 1B sets a trap, 1A is the one to kind of push forward, you know what I mean, and try and proactively get the win. Speaking of being proactive, yeah, Kaminari, you know, at the beginning, Aizawa was giving them, obviously, you know, what could you have done better, what did you do wrong, kind of thing, to each of the teammates. And Kaminari obviously was told that, like, you know, he didn't do anything until it was kind of too late. He should have been, like, alert from the beginning, and he's very kind of reactive and not proactive, you know. So yeah, that makes sense. So yeah, it feels like Class 1B, they set traps. and that's their whole thing, because that's the thing that 1B kind of has over 1A is that 1A has been in the spotlight so much that their quirks are kind of out there, so they can be, they can be expected a lot more than what 1Bs can. So you'll find that 1A will end up falling into traps a lot more. So I don't think that. I feel like in terms of Mushroom Girl obviously being 1, I feel like the manga guy probably has something the same. Kendo, it's going to be interesting to see if she is improved like any, because it was like a sort of a creative use of her quirk last time out in the beginning of season 3 when she was she was wafting away all of the the smoke and the gas and everything like that, which is a great use of the quirk. But I wonder if there's like because they've improved their use of their quirk, like a lot of the characters, since then. So it's going to be interesting to see if there's anything more that she's got up her sleeve, as opposed to being like kind of the general from the back, like kind of given orders and whatnot, So yeah, I mean, maybe that's just her role, and that she's almost thinking that they could end this without her having to get involved. But I'm sure that even then, like, she probably has a plan C or plan D. I mean, the way that they talk about Kendo being the big sis and everything like that, it's almost like she takes the role of what like kind of Deku and Bakugo have over in Class 1A, where Class 1A, they talk about those two being like sort of like the pillars that kind of inspire the rest of the class, and I feel like Kendo almost takes up that role in Class 1B. So maybe it's like she's the more sort of like she forms the strategies and everything like that. She might be the most intellectually switched on kind of, so I do feel like I don't know. It's so hard to go against Class 1A, you know what I mean? Because, I mean, there's a lot of thoughts of like, well, it's shonen, so, like, it always feels like the main characters are the ones that tend to kind of just keep winning all the time, But I refuse to believe that it's going to be a case where one of these matches, at least one, like, even then, I think I would just be a bit disappointed. Like, it should be two, like at least two matches that Class 1A lose. But I'm thinking like this team right now of Class 1A, it feels harsh to say, but like the one that I almost expect them to lose, which is harsh because I love Tokiyami, I love Yaoyorozu. But then when you think about like previously, like Yaoyorozu has had trouble before, like it was harsh on her when I mean she went up against Tokiyami, didn't she, in the one-on-one fight in the sports festival, and she was done like that, you know what I mean? She was and there was that whole thing where she was down about it, and then she teamed up with Todoroki and whatnot and went up against Aizawa, and there was that whole thing where she found her sort of confidence in her plans again. And if that was to come back and she was not able to plan better than 1B, like I wonder if she would fall back into that loss of confidence, or if she would just take it as just a learning experience and not take it as harsh or as hardly. So I don't know, but I just feel like there has to be some matches that they lose. But then when I'm looking at the other matches and who's on what team, like, I mean, fuck me, I can't have Bakugo and Jiro losing. I can't take that, But then that would mean, I mean, I don't know what that would mean really, because I'm just thinking in my head that the last 3 matches, I think match 3 is Shoto, right, in Ida. I mean, those two, how are they gonna lose? Bakugo, Jiro, how the fuck are they gonna lose? And then the last one is with Deku. But that could be one that they lose, Deku is probably about due a loss. you know. So maybe. The thing is that with, you know, the previous, you know, the next two matches, I should say, Shoto and Bakugo, they're already like behind in terms of, you know, they don't have their licenses yet and everything. So surely they're not going to have them lose, because they already are kind of like behind and everything like that, you know. And maybe it would make sense for Deku to like get a loss. I think maybe about time for that, because that means Shinso can kind of get his revenge, you know, and put them like kind of on an even keel in terms of wins in a competitive match, you know. So maybe that would be the case, but then that would obviously mean that this match right now would be the one where 1A loses this one, you know. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. It just depends on what the other abilities are, you know. So we'll see. Yeah. So what else? Yeah. So Dark Fallen Angel. I love that. I love the fact that it's making use of the cloak that he's always had, and it not just being a bit of, you know, some garment that, like, you know what I mean, just draped over his shoulders, just because it kind of, you know, it goes with his aesthetic and his personality, you know what I mean? Which Shihai has the same thing as well. Like, they're just a match, man. But yeah, I love the fact that the cloak actually works in tandem, like to keep Dark Shadow in the shade. And I think like it was quoted as like, because he's in the shade, that allows for a lot more output, which is actually what is needed to sustain him in flight. So that's why he couldn't do it before. So I think when I look back at the sports festival, the one time that I saw him fly was, you see, there was twice where he flew, wasn't there? The one I was talking about was not the cavalry battle. It was previously when he was like, "I'll hitch a ride on my shadow," and he goes over the top of those the big robots, right? And I was thinking, well, how is he? So okay, so he can fly then, because the thing is, like, it looked like he could kind of he could glide a bit with Dark Shadow being in direct sunlight, but he couldn't, like, it's not like he could actually gain some like real altitude. So he would have had to have, I guess, jumped around to get over the top of that robot. Because I know that in the cavalry battle, there was it was assisted with what's her name's jetpacks and everything like that, right? Which allowed them to stay in the air. But yeah, so yeah, I love the fact that using the cloak again, it's showcasing like the differences, like, to the costume and everything like that actually assist in the hero work, and it's not just about the abilities but how you use them, which I always love about the show. And also the fact of, yeah, like, going back to see his internship and work study with Hawks, because that was just something that was like, oh shit, he's working with like the number 2 hero, whatever it was, or the number 3 at that time, I can't remember, and we just never got to see it. But being able to like go back and see what actually happened. So in the internship, nothing really happened. Hawks just wanted to know what was going on. But by seeing that sort of, I guess, he saw it almost as like a kingship, as like, because they have that, I guess, connection of being bird-like, that that Hawks was able to see something there that he could actually help with. Because that's the thing, yeah, with Hawks, is that because he's such a different kind of hero, you never had that kind of... You never felt from him like he would be a mentor, you know what I mean? He just doesn't strike me as that kind of hero to do that. But because, you know, he is a hero and he does have, you know, like, kind of those hero-like qualities that if he can help, he will help. And so by seeing Tokoyami, there was something that Hawks could do to actually assist, you know. So it just worked. It worked well between them. So yeah, I love that. Like, the wasting potential as a bird, and you know what I mean. We should, like, all that about we should fly and everything. I love that. It's great. So yeah. Yeah, back to Mushroom Girl. So she was talking to Shroom. Now, I don't know what this was like in the, you know, what it said in the English sub. I was going to say shrub there. That obviously came with thinking about Shroom. But no, like, she said something like, I think the quote was something like, what was it? What was like the class rep said, what class rep said was like something that did actually come true. Which was like, if there is a lot of light, if you see a lot of light, then plan A failed, right? And then after that said Shroom, as if she was talking to something else. So I don't know if it's a case of something like similar to Tokiyami and Dark Shadow, where there's like, you know, like whatever the Shroom is, like it could be something else, like an extra entity thing, you know? Or she's just got this quirky attitude where she talks to herself. I don't know, you know? But, yeah, I thought that was interesting, though. That, you know, she talked to almost like somebody else, or talked to her ability. So, yeah, we'll see what happens with that next episode, I'm sure. What else? Monoma is on Shinso's team. That's a really good thing to know going forward. And he can copy, which means he's going up against Deku. Who's on Deku's team? Is Ochako on Deku's team? I can't remember. Shit. I cannot remember. Yeah, I think Sato is though, right? Tape dude. I think he is. And you find that like Sato and Ochako and Deku are on the team a lot. Well, maybe not Deku and Sato, but you know, Deku and Ochako, and then Sato and Ochako. They tend to be on the you know, on the same team a lot. So. Yeah, that's going to be interesting. That's the thing with Monoma, like his quirk, is that like it is a powerful quirk, but it's one that like you have to like assume that he needs to learn it almost, you know, surely. Like for example, if he was to take Sato's quirk, and fucking hell, I haven't even talked about what if he takes fucking one for all, have we? That would be insane. His body wouldn't be able to handle it. That might happen, you know. That might happen. That might happen. He'd get a shock, wouldn't he? Fuck. His body would just destroy itself. But then, no, because he hasn't trained, has he? Well, we don't know that. We don't know that. We don't know if he's trained enough to the point where, like, he would break his back, you know what I mean? But, oh, God. That'll be insane if that happens. That would be insane. But there may be something with, like, you know, it's not just he's going to be taking quirks from the opposite team. He could take them from his own. So if he takes Shinso's quirk, like, that's not only can you not talk to Shinso, but now you can't talk to Monoma either. Think about that. Jesus. I suppose it kind of works in Deku's team's favour because you have more time to plan around that match, right? So they're going to have to literally come up with this, you know. Deku is smart, right? He writes everything down. He's obviously seen what Shinso can do now. So I feel like they're not going to be going into that match talking a lot. They'll probably have some sort of like hand signals or something like that. And they will have a plan set out beforehand so that they can, you know, maneuver around Shinso's quirk the best that they can. But this is the thing, is that I don't know if Deku knows about Monoma's quirk. We don't know that, so I don't know, maybe Bakugo will be a boy and let him know. I doubt he will, but you never know, right? Because I think that's the thing, is like with Deku and Bakugo, that they've got that relationship now between them where Bakugo is, you know, he wants Deku to, you know what I mean, respect the quirk that he has. So he might give him a tip. You know what I mean? You never know. So yeah, Monoma is going to be an interesting dynamic in that match. Taking Shinso's quirk or taking, you know, Deku's. He needs to touch them though, right? So that's the thing. He needs to get close enough to do it. So we'll see. And he can only use one at a time, or at least that's what last time we checked, right? Last time that was the case. So he just could have improved and you know, being able to keep more at once. So yeah, I mean that's all I've got. I think that's all I've got. I think Shinso anyway will be much better in the next match. Like, I feel like, you know what I mean. Like it seems the way that, because this is the real first kind of, like, his first real test in like this kind of environment where he needs to kind of like think on his feet, and the lack of experience showed in the first match. And immediately after that match was over, you know what I mean, he's already focusing on everything, and that frustration will breed some kind of improvement for the last match. And I don't know, there's something about it that makes me think that maybe Deku's will be the one that like Deku will be the one that loses that one. We'll have to see. You know, I mean, we'll have to see. But anyway, yeah, that's all I've got. So apologies if I did miss anything at all. Oh yeah, one thing that I want to talk. Yeah, so someone made a really good point in the comments about Shinso, and that when Shinso was talking about like how he's not sure if he can, you know, kind of take under control multiple people at once, that it was an interesting way of saying it, because we have seen him do that before. So yeah, there was that one time. Someone made a good point. There was that one time in the sports festival in the first race where he was being carried by like 3 people that were all under his control. So yeah, interesting that. Now, I don't know if he's like just trying to keep it like sort of under wraps that he can do that, or what. You know what I mean? But he was getting carried around, and he got carried around in the cavalry battle and everything, so that is interesting. But I guess it's to what degree he can control them, right? Like, you know, you're talking about sort of more in-depth sort of moves and everything would like take more focus. So maybe if you can just obviously, you know, split it out so that they're less, you know, that he's less dynamic with them, but they're able to do simpler tasks. Who knows? But anyway, yeah, that is all I've got. So thank you everyone for watching. In the description below, I think certain things. One of them is the Discord, so you can get yourself over there if you wish. And I also have a Patreon page as well. So if you do want to support me on Patreon, that'd be very much appreciated. There is a bunch of different tiers and rewards, like early access. Gives you access to shows a week early. There's also the full-length tier, which gives you access to full-length reactions, and then there is the exclusive tier, which gives you access to full-length movie reactions and everything like that. So yeah, the next Fate movie, the last one, Heaven's Feel, will be coming out very shortly. I'm thinking tomorrow or the day after, and then soon after that there will be the Demon Slayer movie, so Infinity Train, that'll be doing as well. So look forward to that as well. But anyway, yeah, that's all I've got. So thank you for watching. I'll see you all next time. Bye bye.